one.
A little
Making
early,
the music.
but I like it. A little early, but I like it. Welcome in to the third episode of Club Dynasty. I am your host, Joe Zola. We are 3/4 of the way through the 2020 fantasy football season. Joining me, as always, Joshua Hudson. Not joining us, who is normally here. Ryan Weiss is on his anniversary date with his wife. So, priorities. Happy wife, happy life, according to Ryan. But joining us today, we have two guys from Dynasty Trades HQ, one Shane in the bottom right and one Jeremy in the bottom left. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
We're good. Our partner couldn't be here either because he had to spend time with his wife on his anniversary. I don't know what that bullshit is.
Yeah, right.
It's a big one tomorrow, yeah.
Ooh, anniversary. I like being in love and happy. Whatever.
All right.
Shane's just in love with his fantasy football team. That's what really counts.
It's true.
That's all that matters. As long as you're in love with fantasy football. Fantasy football is your one true love.
It's better than being in love with yourself.
That's
This is true.
Well, no. So what
Yeah.
you should do is you should love yourself. You should love yourself, but some people don't. I was on Club Fantasy when we did a mock draft, and that turned into a real draft, and I drafted DeAndre Swift 7 times.
Only 7 times?
Only 7 times. Yeah.
It was incredible. Wow. It was like the 10th round. He's like, DeAndre Swift available? I'm like, no, Shane, he hasn't been available the last 6. What makes you think he's available?
Yeah.
Didn't you keep track, Shane?
No. I didn't. Well, for most of the draft, I didn't realize that we could keep track on Sleeper.
Right.
I was impressed with other people just knowing that players weren't available. I thought they were just like really paying attention.
Well,
yeah, it turns out.
No.
Speaking of the guy who set up that Sleeper, Tommy, your camera's finally working.
It's actually not. I'm using my cell phone right now while my laptop is restarting.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
So is your cell phone taped to a computer monitor so it looks like you're looking in the computer monitor?
It's on a tripod with a ring light. That's what I normally use for my webcam.
I like it. Oh, webcam.
innovation.
HD, baby. It's better than my webcam.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's the only reason
We
I
should
bought
start
the
using
iPhone
this.
was for the camera.
Innovation from Tommy Garrett. We appreciate all you guys coming in and joining us here. So for those new, those that have never watched Club Dynasty, it is strictly Dynasty focused. Any redraft questions, Josh will quickly answer in the chat, but everything here is going to be Dynasty focused. If there are Dynasty questions, obviously we'll answer them on air, but anything redraft or start sit, save it for tomorrow morning when we do our start sit show at 11 o'clock, so you could just join us then. But starting off here, and Josh, I know you wanted to bring this up because the first episode we had Tommy on, and we talked about James Robinson. And in that 8-week time span, Antonio Gibson has decided to learn the role of running back in the NFL. And especially the past 3 weeks, I believe, Shane, you were reading off his point total. It was like
big, it's sexy.
Yeah, 26, 17, and 36 or something like that.
22, 17, 36.
Big time.
I think it's 7 touchdowns his last 55 touches or something like that, if I remember.
That's unreal.
Sounds about right. Yeah, he has 7 touchdowns in the last, I'm not going to do the math, but 6 weeks. 3, 5. There you go. Wait, no, that's 8, actually. I'm so bad at math. Anyway, he's had 6 touchdowns in the last 3 games. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
3 strictly in that Cowboys game. Utterly incredible performance he had on Thanksgiving. The entire offense was Antonio Gibson, and then Terry McLaurin threw in 7 catches for 92 yards. That's essentially what Washington is running on offense at this point.
You know,
2 players.
If you looked at Antonio Gibson's college stats, you went, there's no way he can score touchdowns at that rate, right? He's scoring touchdowns at that rate.
I just thought he'd be catching passes and doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of what I thought, and I think what really kind of flipped his role on its head was when they released Darius Geis and then they cut Adrian Peterson, and then they just kind of shifted him into that role of the first 2-down runner, and then McKissick in the 3rd-down role, and now as he's learned the offense, he's becoming that 3-down back that we all kind of envisioned he would be. Just probably not till 2021 or 2022.
They didn't have a choice but to do that to Darius Geis. He put himself in that situation.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and at that point, I think, I don't know if anyone would disagree, but if Darius Geis was still in that offense, no one would be talking about Antonio Gibson at this point. We'd be talking about Darius Geis.
I think we would because likely Darius Geis would have gotten hurt by now.
That's a fair point.
That is
a
very
fair
fair.
point. No,
And
that's a
also,
very
I
fair
mean,
point.
we've seen McKissick in this offense, and Antonio Gibson's like McKissick, a receiving.
Yeah, very
threat,
talented receiver,
except
yeah.
he's a lot better. So maybe we would have seen Gibson in the McKissick role like we expected to see Gibson catching passes earlier.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. I mean, Darius Geis would have gotten hurt. He would have been in jail. I mean, a dog's a dog. He's going to do what dogs do.
It was inevitable. Yes.
It's fate. It's like fate. It's like determinism. The universe is determined that Darius Geis is an asshole, and he's destined to reach that fate and do everything he can to reach that fate.
Yeah, but can you beat him in Madden? That's what I want to know.
That's the true question.
Probably not. No,
Right.
I don't think so. I'd
He
be
spends
scared
a
to.
lot of time.
Does he? Well, he doesn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, that's the
He's not
true
wrong.
question.
Fighting
But-
rape charges, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you do if you spend a lot of time during your day fighting your rape charges. I think your lawyer works on that more than you do.
Whoa.
6 minutes off the wrist.
I'm just saying.
Not a record.
He's
Not a
The
record.
mind of Shane Manilla. Wasn't there being John Malkovich, being Shane Manilla? Just imagine being in that brain for an entire week or something.
Oh, you won't
What,
last a day.
what would happen to you?
My liver be shot.
Self implosion.
So Antonio Gibson, yeah, really good. It's exciting that they are using him as a pass catcher. It was really annoying when they're giving J.D. McKissick all these targets. When you're like, guys, you know that Antonio Gibson was a wide receiver in college, right? Like he's really not really good, but he's a great pass catcher.
Yeah.
Throw him the fucking ball, and they're just like, no. He's a 2-down back.
I mean, he was one of the top 3 pass catchers in this last class. It was like him, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and DeAndre Swift. Like,
Yeah.
those were your top 3 pass catchers.
Yeah, most definitely. And looking at the overall question here, because we talked about Robinson back in between week 4 and week 5, and now obviously talking about Antonio Gibson. In that time frame since week 5, Robinson is RB5, Gibson is RB4. Their ADPs, according to DLF back in November, are RB16 for Robinson, RB20 for Antonio Gibson. So again, being drafted relatively in the same area, except Gibson is one spot higher in terms of points scored this year compared to James Robinson since week 5. So the overall question is, moving forward in Dynasty, and Josh, I will start with you since you posed the question, who would you rather have going forward, James Robinson or Antonio Gibson?
I think it's close, but I'm going to lean Gibson simply because of the job security side of things. He was drafted by this regime within the first 4 rounds, and typically from a dynasty perspective, that's what we like to see is that draft capital, right? When you look at Robinson, there's a chance that he has a new head coach that comes in, a new offensive coordinator that comes in. We know they're going to have a new GM because they've already fired Dave Caldwell. So there's not really going to be any sort of loyalty to him. So we don't know how this player is going to fit in with the next regime that comes in. So that does make me a little worrisome, but it is hard to ignore the production that we are seeing currently from him. We were talking about this before we went live. James Robinson in PPR, 0 times he has gone under 10 fantasy points scored in a week.
Yep.
Like that is production that you want from the running back position. It's why I was high on Zeke coming into this year. He was the only running back last year to have a top 24 finish every single week of the year. You want that type of steady, reliable production in your fantasy lineups. That's what Robinson brings us this year so far. So yeah, we want to believe in that going forward. But when you're looking at Dynasty, you're not just looking at next year. You're looking at 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 4 or 5, depending on how you work your Dynasty team. So I think with Gibson, we're seeing how he has evolved in this offense, going from an early 2-down runner to now them trusting him more in the passing game because we know he's a productive pass catcher. But as he picks up the blitz schemes, the pass rush pickups, those types of things, he's going to be more reliable in that role. And Ron Rivera, before the season even started, after they drafted him, he compared him to Christian McCaffrey. Those types of compliments, they go a long way towards them wanting to believe in this guy going forward.
Yeah. Tommy, I'll kick it to you because we started off with this first question, you being the first guest. Gibson or Robinson going forward in Dynasty?
I think right now I kind of lean towards exactly what he was just saying too when it comes to Gibson. I do feel a little more secure in his role. We kind of brought this up, like you were just saying in the pre-show, was that we don't know what this team the organization is going to do. We would like to think that they're going to hang on to James Robinson, knowing the production that they've seen. Like you just said, he hasn't had less than double-digit fantasy points in a single game this season. So we would like to think that's going to happen. It's just I don't want to put any stock into that right now. I'm not saying I would want to go out there and get rid of James Robinson. If I could have my choice between the two, I think I would probably go with the Antonio Gibson because he's got the support of the head coach. And like you said, if he's getting comparisons to Christian McCaffrey, like no one is trying to say that he is Christian McCaffrey. Like no one is trying to say that. But if you're going to get the usage like that, that's kind of hard to deny, especially in a PPR format.
Yeah. I'll put it down to the bottom again. I'm just going to go right in a beautiful little ring here. Jeremy, Robinson or Gibson?
Well, I think it's already been said. It's pretty close. I think
Absolutely.
Gibson is the play because of the draft capital. The Jacksonville Jaguars gig we knew it was a high volume gig, and the fact that Robinson came in and played so well surprised a lot of people. I don't think either is a wrong answer if you can get either of those guys. I don't think that you're going to give up on Robinson because he wasn't drafted, and it's all because he has been productive in that offense. I think more NFL teams want to do that. They don't want to spend a second round pick on a running back if they don't have to. I mean, it's a blessing that Jacksonville can go into, the next draft looking for that quarterback and shoring up other positions because they have a lot of needs. But seeing Robinson do that in a transition year on this team, I mean, he's like a plug-in running back. And I mean, I think he has more passing production right now, than Gibson does, which is kind of surprising from a guy that's, between the tackles runner. He's done really well with the ball. He has 6 touchdowns, I think, rushing to Gibson's 11, right? So, but yet they're neck and neck in total points. Imagine Robinson with a few more touchdowns, and he's going to be well ahead of Gibson so far this year. But I think Gibson is definitely the play. That guy, has top 5 perennial running back potential, running back one. And I think James Robinson, with the questions around the Jacksonville offense just spelled out so well by Josh, is definitely putting him a little bit behind Gibson. But I don't think either is a wrong answer, and I think you should be trying to get either one of them.
I mean, James Robinson, I think he's on pace right now for like 68 targets in this offense. So we're not really seeing a massive drop down from what we saw with Leonard Fournette. If he's going to get those passing work, and they do hang on to him, Robinson's going to be a decent player. Like you said, it's a lot closer than like people probably want to give it credit for.
Yeah.
Shane?
Yeah, I mean, everything you guys just said was actually correct for once.
Should I feel good?
You said actually correct for once.
Actually,
We've never been
I like
correct
it.
before.
Literally everything he said was correct. It's on point. I mean, the only reason I'm taking Gibson over Robinson is because of this situation. If there was any chance in hell that Jacksonville's coach,
Doug
Marrone, Jesus Christ, I don't know why he's still there. If there was any chance in hell that he'd be there next year, I'd say I'll take Robinson. But with a new regime coming in, like you said, there's already going to be a new GM. There's going to be a new offensive coordinator coming in with a new head coach. We have no idea what they're going to do. And they have every pick of the first 6 rounds. All the picks are theirs. They could literally draft 13 running backs if they wanted to, with picks left over to get every other position 3 times.
And right now,
Probably
honestly,
not
it's a little easier to get your hands on Robinson on your dynasty team. Slightly, just like we were saying, because we're all talking about how we value Gibson a little bit more. So more cheaply, you can get Robinson. Really, kind of a good deal at this point of this season because people were overpaying for him earlier in the year. So, like I said, both are buys. You should totally look for both of these players.
I was gonna say I snagged Robinson in one of my Superflex leagues. I traded Eckler for Robinson, Darrell Henderson, and a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, I like that.
Just adding the depth to the lineup, getting substituting one great running back for another, and adding a 2nd-round pick. So
yeah, Eckler has his own
this week though. When Eckler came back and had
I mean, when you
targets.
look at the targets and the receiving upside, that's Eckler hands down.
Yeah.
But you have a rookie running back, that 2nd-round pick. There's some uncertainty around Eckler too, so I couldn't fault you for that, especially if
and I traded him when he was hurt.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing too about anytime you can acquire more 2nd, even more 3rd-round picks, it gives you the flexibility to then move those to change your position in the 1st round.
Yeah.
It's also a lot easier to acquire those second round picks. Take those flyers on guys. Like, no, you're not always going to hit on maybe like the Chase Claypool or whatever in the second and the third rounds. But if you want to move up to try to get that guy, like in this year's class, to move up to like that 105, try to get that, CD Lamb if you thought you could get him in the draft, like that gives you the flexibility, even if you don't want to use it as a draft pick.
Yeah, more ammunition with that draft capital.
Absolutely. If any flexibility you can get, it's the best thing you can do.
You should have tons of picks, but you shouldn't make half of them. Like you said, you should be using those as ways to move around, facilitate bigger other moves and things like that. It's just because, the hit rate second round picks, not really good. Everyone is going to remember Chase Claypool and Terry McLaurin, though. So that when you're selling that pick, everyone's going to go, oh, no, I liked Terry McLaurin. So I'm definitely going to find one of him in the second round.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Oh yeah, people always think if I did it one year, I can do it the next year, and that ain't.
And you can do it every year too. You just have to do it. You just have to do it.
Yeah,
those guys are always out there. The chances of hitting though are definitely not great.
I'm gonna do the contrarian side of things to make this interesting. I'm gonna throw two numbers and two names: 763,000, 85 million, Kenyon Drake and Todd Gurley. How do all those add up, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. The top two running back free agents in 2021 are Kenyon Drake and Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Jacksonville has $85 million of cap space that they will not spend on a running back because they are garbage, simply put. James Robinson, over the next 2 years, makes an average salary of $763,000, totaling just shy are just over $1.5 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's 23 at the start of next season.
Yeah.
He's
the
not
narrative
going
in the
anywhere.
NFL itself is so much like never pay for running back or never draft a running back high. Like that's purveying narrative right now. This one, especially after like the Saquon Barkley, him getting drafted early, and now he's lost for the whole year. It kind of just seemed like to stoke that entire crowd. Like you might want to think that in fantasy, that's one thing, but if you can get a running back cheaper in the NFL later round, then it makes a lot of sense to do it, and it might help James Robinson in the long run.
That's why I would lean Robinson. I think he's proof that he can be a running back in the NFL. I don't know who his coach is going to be. I hope none of the coaches that were fired this year get any opportunity because they're all terrible. Maybe Dan Quinn, because at one point he actually had some form of success. But Patricia, Bill O'Brien, all these guys, none of them deserve a second chance at this point. And so there's probably going to be a new young gun that's going to come in. And yes, maybe they do draft a running back. But I think the new coach or GM that comes in and says, look, we have a really good running back who is pennies the next 2 years.
Well, not only that, he's proven that he can be an asset both as a runner and a receiver. I mean, that's the way NFL offenses are working right now.
Exactly. And coaches want that player, and just like Joe said, and that's the greatest point, the counterpoint to the Twitter folks that think that James Robinson is one and done. It's this year only. They love to have that asset. They love to have that player, the money savings. And like you said, they have tons of needs, and they're going to go into this draft with that. The new staff is going to realize they don't need to shore up that position. Yeah, they'll get another running back. They're not going to pay for it. They're not going to draft it high, and they're not going to pay a big price for a veteran. They just don't need to.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like if you're going
did.
to have the second overall pick, you're probably going to take Justin Fields. You're better off at that point bolstering your offensive line to protect your franchise quarterback. And therefore, in turn, your running back's going to get the benefit from that too. But you have bigger needs on this team than just the running back position.
Common sense dictates that, but we've seen too often in the NFL.
It's 2020. There's no fucking common sense anymore.
Yeah, I mean, common sense doesn't really have much to do with what happens in the NFL sometimes. And we forget how important it is for a head coach and a GM to show you how smart they are. And the way they do that is, this is my guy. Look, this is my guy. So I drafted, Travis.
Oh, yeah,
Etienne.
they're more than willing to die on those swords.
Yeah, I drafted Travis Etienne in the second round because I'm really smart. And you're like, well, yeah, but you probably could have got a lineman in the second round that would, is going to protect your quarterback for the next decade. And you already had this serviceable running back, but that's not flashy. That doesn't make me look smart. You know what I mean? That's what they want. They want to look smart. They want their moves. They want their stamp on it.
I mean, personally, I would love to draft Travis Etienne in the second round. That's just me, though.
But also, is that why Adam Gase still has a job? People want to prove that he's actually a good head coach.
I guess.
why
No,
he's
it's because
still-
they put anyone else, they might accidentally win a fucking game.
Yeah, they're pot committed to this point to 0-16.
Yeah.
Like you've won the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. You wait till the season's over. You shit can Gase immediately. Like he doesn't even fly home with you.
He's a
If you
sunk
guys,
cost.
if the
You
Jets
have to get
needed
rid
to
of him.
draft Trevor Lawrence, Adam Gase won the season.
Well, that's
You-
why Adam Gase is still
Yeah.
there, so that they
And
can
you call-
get that number one
Absolutely.
overall pick,
You
and then
call
see
Trevor.
Adam sunk cost Gase.
You call Trevor and you go, look, Gase is gone. Who do you want us to look at as your head coach?
Yeah, how bad of a look is it that he's basically come out and said I couldn't fix Sam Darnold when he was supposed to be this like
Pretty bad.
QB guru? Like,
Yeah, I saw that yesterday and I laughed.
if I was
Like,
the owner of that team, I'd been like, "Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why are you my coach right now?" Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one for you guys. I know, like, for me, like, I have a couple landing spots. Where would you like to see Sam Darnold land for
New
next year?
England.
Because he's a guy you can get dead cheap right now and hopefully
New
get the starting
England.
quarterback for next year.
the Patriots.
Detroit, Denver, Chicago, any of those places.
I say Pittsburgh or Indianapolis.
he- look, he-
I like Indy,
Any of
but
them.
I'm kind of secretly holding out hope that maybe the Eagles ship Carson Wentz there and we can just like kind of be done with that
Yeah,
experiment.
you have Jalen Hurts.
I mean, but again, I don't know what that's going to look like with Hurts moving forward. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But
Okay.
you spent a second round pick on a quarterback when you invested $128 million. That was the dumbest fucking decision you could have
That's
made.
the hard part of trying to move off Carson Wentz is his contract. Like, you guys are stuck with it until you don't have an out until like end of 2022, if I remember right, with Carson Wentz.
But Indy has the cap space to soak up that contract. They have the head coach.
that actually
that-
apparently
like,
knows how to
basically
Not
coach.
made
their
Carson
style of
Wentz
play,
great.
though.
Yeah.
Like that organization wants to build with youth. They wouldn't want to take on that style of contract. I don't think.
27. He's only 27.
Yeah, 20, but he's going to
Yeah,
retire
but I mean,
in
like
2
32
years. So.
for a quarterback is young.
Sam Darnold's got to land somewhere soft. It's got to be Indy.
The
I don't know that it could be
Yeah, and
Chicago.
for every team you suggest Carson Wentz should go to, that's the team Sam Darnold should go to.
It's
He's
got to
young,
be
very
a
young,
good situation with a good offensive mind.
sure, but he's
That's
still
why I
better.
said
He's still
Pittsburgh
better
for me.
than Wentz.
Ben is on the
in my
last
opinion.
year of his contract. Like, he's on the last year probably of his fucking career, to be honest. You have a solid offensive line. You can then put him with, Juju if they get to re-sign him, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. You've got Eric Ebron as a dump off. You've got a great defense, even though they did just lose Bud Dupree. They should get back at some point. Devin Bush next year, and that's if they also choose what to do with Bud Dupree, who was on a franchise deal this year. You can spend at that point and just start upgrading different positions. So for me, I like Sam Darnold as a Steelers. Also, I'm a Steelers fan. I think I just want a quarterback of the future because I know
As far as
Mason
free
Rudolph and
agency,
Devlin Hodges is not it.
as far
Yeah,
as
I
free
think
agency
Indy-
goes, a team like the Steelers and a team like the Broncos, quarterbacks are going to want to go there. I mean, that's clear. Look
absolutely.
at those
Broncos-
offenses.
Yeah,
They're not going to have the
Broncos
best
with young
quarterbacks to
talent.
play there.
The Broncos have a bad offensive coach. If I'm a quarterback, I don't want any fucking parts of that. If I'm Sam Darnold, now I might not have the choice, obviously, but if I'm Sam Darnold and I'm already just spent the last, I don't know, it feels like decade of my life with fucking Adam Gase, I don't need that again. You know what I mean? I'll go be a backup somewhere else before I'll go start in Denver because their offensive coordinator is garbage. And Vic Fangio is probably going to get fired after this year and you're going to have a whole new regime. Sam Darnold in Indianapolis would be great.
It would.
New England, okay. There's no weapons there, though.
Hey,
He needs to move to a team
hey.
that's actually built to compete as opposed to the dumpster fire and trash can that he's living at now.
Listen. If Cam Newton was not our quarterback, we'd be fine.
Cam Newton give that team at least 2 wins because that team is fucking hot trash. Jacoby Myers is an excellent practice squad player.
So
He should not be starting.
So I don't disagree there, but I'm just gonna throw this out there to you. Our receivers have 50% of the passing touchdowns as Cam Newton does. We have 6 passing touchdowns as a team. 2 of them are from receivers. Cam Newton threw his first touchdown to a wide
That's a great
receiver
did you know stat.
in week 11.
That's a bar stat right there.
He's throwing to Damiere Byrd. Like, who's his most consistent receiver? When you look at those
Damiere
receivers.
Byrd is a high quality guy. Should he be a 1? No. You should probably be a
The
3.
fact that N'Keal Harry
four.
can't break through over top of this piss poor off wide receiver core
No.
says everything I need.
And
to
now
know
they're talking about him
N'Keal Harry.
adding weight to move to tight end.
Yeah,
Guys,
just cut
guys,
N'Keal Harry. If anyone's willing to trade anything for N'Keal Harry, fucking take it.
I don't want
It's
to
like a six-pack.
Him and JJ
are
Arcega-Whiteside are the worst flameouts from last
God.
year's draft. If anyone will take anything, give it to you, just fucking take it. I don't care if
And
it's
that's saying
$3
something in
bad.
a draft that had Hakeem Butler and Emmanuel Hall in it.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
and Hakeem
hold on.
Butler was actually an Eagle for a week, and I still rather have him on my roster than JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who's still in the league.
Hold on. One moment here. Let me read you that draft. So, going back to that draft, as I'm just trying to find a board that actually gives me by position after a quick Google search. But just going back to that draft, because we talk about the receivers, Hollywood Brown picked 25.
Yep.
N'Keal Harry picked 32. So there's your 2 first-round wide receivers. Who came next, you ask? Deebo Samuel has looked decent, right? He's been up and down, mostly because of injury. A.J. Brown, Nicole Hardman, jury's still out on him.
Yeah.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside,
Trash.
who is a 50-50 ball hawk, according to his draft profile. Paris Campbell, who has been riddled with injury but has shown some promise. Andy Isabella,
Trash.
strictly
Still
a
waiting.
deep threat.
He's a jet sweep. That's all he is.
And again,
Needs a play on the outside, not the slot.
at pick 64, DK Metcalf
Yeah, it's
was
because
the
3 cone
ninth
girls matter.
9th receiver off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all
might-
matters what you do
might not
throughout
work out.
all the tape you did at Ole Miss. And all that matters is what you did running around 3 cones in your underwear on a cold night in Indianapolis.
Well, let's remember, though, DK did have a history of not staying healthy in college. And
Yeah, he had a
That's
neck
true.
injury that
and
last
he
year.
had a history of being outproduced by AJ Brown and the other guy that didn't even get drafted. DeMarcus Lodge. Yeah. So I mean, DK was always a physical freak. The 9, the 3 cone probably should have been ignored by anyone because who gives a shit. But I mean, there was some warning flags there, but not enough that he should have been the 9th receiver off the board. In the
Right. I
NFL.
think being built like bigger than
tank.
most defensive ends
Yeah.
kind of worked against his favor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's the type of guy just from a physical stature that you take a chance on in the 2nd round and say, all right, whatever. In the
Why you
first,
thought Chase
okay,
Claypool
maybe
get what he
not.
got.
right.
What's up? What was that, Tommy?
So that's why you see Chase Claypool get the draft capital he got because of that physical aspect.
Exactly. Same reason like with Baltimore taking Miles Boykin. Like that's another guy who's big and fast. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Have a dart throw.
It's not always going to work, but you
No.
can't teach size and speed like that. Like it's just
It's like Colin Johnson down there in Jacksonville. Like we
Yeah.
thought he was going to be the wide receiver that was going to be the one
Yeah.
in Texas, and then Dever Duvernay shows up and does what he does.
Yeah.
Now we see him actually get a shot last week with Mike Glennon. Part of that is probably familiarity because when you're playing with the number 3s, that's the guy you're probably throwing to all the time.
Mhm.
This might be one of the reasons. Like you said, you can't
Right.
teach size. The same thing with Gabriel Davis up in Buffalo. He's the tallest guy in that wide receiver room by far. Other than that, you have Stephon Diggs, who's 6'1", and then you have 2 guys under 5 foot with Cole Beasley and John Brown. So it's some of those things you can't teach. Like you
think
brought up
they're
a good
taller
one
than
too
5
about when
foot.
talking about injury size. I wonder what's going to happen with someone like a Justin Ross coming into this season, dealing with his back injuries. Although he might have been the better wide receiver over top of T. Higgins when he was at Clemson. So I'm
He was
really curious to see where
fantastic.
he's going to go in the
Didn't
draft.
he retire? I thought he retired because of his neck.
Nope.
No, he missed the rest of this season, but I have not seen anything about him retiring at that point. The only
Yeah, it
one
was-
I've seen retire was Journey
Clay.
Brown from Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
And Ross
Although
could end up being one of those
Noah
guys
Kane
that a
might be
team
the
takes a
better
dart
running
throw
back.
on. And, a 5th, 6th round pick and somebody hits the jackpot.
Yeah, he
I
has
will-
a congenital fusion in his spine. I'm not touching him if I'm an NFL team. And
Yeah, that's a lot of risk.
I'll be fine with missing on someone with a broken neck.
In
before
deeper
he
rounds, if
plays.
he's there, I'm absolutely taking the shot on him though. Like
my
if I
deeper
go with
rounds.
picks, give me him.
Yeah, like it's 6th round.
Lottery
Fuck it,
receivers
yeah.
again in this class too.
Yeah, because you're 6.
This
a lot
class
of your
is stacked.
Yeah, it's a good.
Oh, we
class
said the
for
same
everyone.
thing last year, but this year actually
last
have tight
class?
ends.
this class, and then is it next year's next 2022?
No, 2022 is
it's a wasteland.
Dead? Oh
yeah,
it's not a good class.
The best quarterback.
If you're acquiring draft picks, you want 2021 and probably 2023.
Use your 2022s to move up in the 2021 because you can always require draft picks if you want to get back into it.
Yeah, this is the wide receiver heavy one. We had running backs really heavy last year, and apparently wide receivers we just weren't aware how good they were.
Yeah.
And next year, it's like Rondell Moore, Justin Ross apparently if he hasn't retired yet, although I think he has. And all those guys coming up. Jamar Chase,
Tamorian Terry, Devin Smith, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, the rest of the Alabama first round.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Nasty. Devonta
I guess
Smith.
one of my things, like what we kind of got to think about too, is has the narrative shifted on when we start to view whether or not a wide receiver is going to break out or not? Because we're starting to see it now where guys, if you're not doing it in your rookie year, we're really starting to be concerned about you in your second year.
Yeah.
And so we see all these guys starting to break off. So I'm wondering, okay, at what point are we starting to get concerned with the draft pick that we get? If they don't do something, when do you start to be like, okay, I need to panic and probably flip someone, try to get another S before you lose value? Or are you trying to hold on to them, thinking they're going to have a good next season at that point?
It feels like a great segue, Tommy.
You need
Just
to worry
that out there.
But you need to worry immediately because there is a threshold that with draft capital, if there's a yardage threshold, if they don't hit in their rookie seasons, that they're destined to never hit. Peter Howard, I think, might have done some studies on that, but there's definitely
I would believe that out of him.
Yeah, there's definitely a threshold out there. So like when people are like, "Oh, be patient." No, fuck that. If a rookie receiver doesn't hit, and we're not talking about 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards.
No.
If they're not hitting like 700 yards,
I was going to say it's probably
750, 800. You better be worried. And I mean, just look at the history so far the last 2 years. N'Keal Harry, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Paris Campbell. You want to blame injuries or whatever? I don't give a fuck. The story's the same on all three of them. They all blew in their rookie seasons. They all blow right now, and they're going to blow next year.
Now, at what point are you just waiting for someone to be the next, Corey Davis at that point?
Yeah, and Davis actually broke out in his
I think it was his second year. I mean, he had almost a 30%.
I'm saying compared to
didn't have anybody else to throw to.
Yeah, compared to expectations.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, coming into the league, we thought wide.
I'm not saying he's Laquan Treadwell.
Right. He's a wide receiver 3 when we were hoping for a wide receiver 1. But know what I mean. But like bust, like Andy Isabella is going to be a bust.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to use that guy in your lineup. Something like that.
Yeah, not in fantasy. He's going to be the guy that someone has on their bench because it's a super deep dynasty league. He'll go off for the 2 touchdowns like he did earlier this season. You'll get suckered into playing him because he's playing the Seattle Seahawks, and he'll get 2 catches for, one will be 50 yards, the other will be 2 because it'll be a screen pass. So you get suckered into that. But speaking of the breakouts, Shane, I think you just quickly said it. Davis is breaking out this year in his 4th year. Devontae Parker had his 5th year breakout, which is also known as the Adam Gase breakout. Because Ryan Tannehill had that last year, and Kenyon Drake had that the second half of last year. So is there, or who are we looking at next season? I want to say this coming season, but we're not in the offseason yet. Next season, that is going to have that big breakout that maybe is teetering at the moment, or maybe a guy that no one has possibly ever heard of that could have a big breakout. But I'm going to start, let's see, because I can see all the names, and I think this is interesting. I want to start with Jeremy here, because personally, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo quarterbacks this team next year. So why do you think Deebo Samuel has his 3rd year breakout?
Talent, if he can stay healthy. I mean, he was an easy one for me. I mean, there are a lot of players I could put on this list that I like. Not a particularly big fan. Yeah, Garoppolo's gone, I think. Honestly,
he is
Mullins.
Did you see the recent report
and he's not the greatest. What's that?
Did you see the recent thing from Kyle Shanahan when they asked him about Jimmy Garoppolo? And they asked him about Josh Allen was the original question. And he actually made the point that we had Jimmy Garoppolo because Josh Allen was gone at that point. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about that team and where their stance is on Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a reason they're sending scouts to evaluate Wilson, the BYU quarterback. He straight up said we only have him because Josh Allen was already taken.
Sure, and Garoppolo will get a job. By the way, I mean he'll end up somewhere. Somebody's taking that kid. But I like Samuel because of his ability after the catch, and that's part of the reason he gets hurt too. I mean there were games where he didn't have any really positive passing yardage catches, like air yards of like negative, and he still turned that into like 60 some yards. I think he might have scored in that game. His ability to create with the ball in his hands, and I think. I'm not sure why things haven't completely clicked there. They've had a lot of problems this season too. he's been injured, but talent-wise, I think he's an easy. I mean, it was just an easy pick, Deebo Samuel.
How do you think
he already
real quick,
kind of
before we
hit in a way? But
before we kind of move into anything else, Joe, Jeremy, how do you feel about him and Brandon Ayuk sort of coexisting in that offense when both of them have very similar skill sets?
Yeah, no, I think they both can certainly coexist in that offense. I mean, I definitely like Ayuk on the outside. I think Samuel, either way, inside, outside. I think there's a way for them to coexist. I think that if you had if you were doing it right, you'd have them both on the field because they can both create after the catch so well. There's no reason to hamstring yourself and keep your two best wide receivers, on the bench.
Well, the reason
I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it's possible. Sure.
The reason I ask is because you see with Kansas City, like, as electric as Tyreek Hill is, Mecole Hardman has a very similar skill set, and you rarely ever see them on the field at the same time. So it's like, rostering Mecole in Dynasty, it's been such a wait and see approach. It's like,
he was a development player too, though. Hardman was always sort of on this development path, and he really is serving as a backup only to Tyreek Hill. And I don't, they have other assets there to put on the field. So I don't know that Hardman, I mean, I get where you're going with that. I don't know that Hardman is as ready to play even for like the Niners as both Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. But he's purely a backup to Hill at this point, and he's not going to get on the field unless Hill is hurt or gone, on another team. He may never get that opportunity with the Chiefs, honestly, till he goes to another team. That's not the case with Samuel and Ayuk, but so Samuel's just an easy one, pure talent wise. If he were to stay healthy, let's say he didn't get hurt this year, he's already off this list because he doesn't count. He would have already hit.
I think part of what you kind of brought up, Josh, was an interesting point about when it talking about like Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill when it contrasted to Deebo Samuel and Ayuk. I think part of that is like what these guys do in their offenses, where you're looking at guys that are really great deep threats versus guys that are really great after the catch. And in this system where that's get the ball to them, let them do their thing. And that's like with Shanahan, like he has a lot of guys who can kind of be taken in and out and do a lot of the same different things in this offense. So there's no real step down in productivity in the offense. So we have like someone like an Ayuk or a Deebo Samuel who just run pissed off. And their yards after the catch are just fantastic at that point, where you have like a Mecole Hardman or a Tyreek Hill who use that great speed to either get behind a defense or find that open spot in the zone while Patrick Mahomes is doing something incredible back there behind the pocket and just buying time. So I think part of that is just the roles in the team's offenses where you can see two guys coexist where the other two guys are kind of taking up the same kind of space on the field.
Well, that's why I'm curious to see this week's game with San Francisco, because apparently both Ayuk and Samuel are going to be active.
Right.
And we haven't really seen that much this year. So it's like, are both of them literally running the same routes opposite each other? Or is one actually going to have to run legit route tree? Because like we see like with the Panthers, for instance, like you have, DJ Moore, who
put some respect on his name.
Rodney Anderson. That's who I was trying to mention,
Robbie.
But Robbie Anderson.
Okay, English is hard. We understand. Carry on.
There right now. But Robbie Anderson kind of running more, the slants, the go routes, etc. Whereas Moore works more within like that 5-10 range and uses that yards after the catch ability. But if you have two guys opposite each other that are running, very similar routes, it makes it very easy for a defense to figure out what you're going to do. Yeah. So that's kind of the point that I'm getting at.
And they both are on opposite sides of the field. I mean, left and right, Ayuk and Samuel, but definitely could. They'll have to get creative. I don't think they're going to have a problem. I think that's a great problem for Shanahan to have, this coming week. With, are you going to run a slant on the left and a post on the right, and then just switch it and do it? I get what you're saying. Like just keep flip, because then they're going to kind of know what's happening. But I think they'll be good on the field at the same time.
Coming into the season, though, they did discuss using Ayuk more as his deep threat, using him down the field. Even though we've seen him thrive, both of them, with negative air yards. Everything's a screen or behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's my thing with Ayuk. I think he's a more polished overall receiver than Deebo is. Personally.
I think part of that
Deebo came in the league not really as a wide receiver. He was kind of like Curtis Samuel, like a tweener. Yeah. Like he wasn't great at the wide receiver position, but he was so good at getting space, getting into the open, creating after the catch. And Ayuk is definitely more polished as a receiver. So I'd say you'd see him more downfield than Deebo, out of the backfield with the negative air yards. But we'll see, man. I'm actually excited to see that with Mullins as quarterback.
I think part of the thing too is like why you've seen Ayuk look so good is like you're gonna have a hard time finding a player who came into the NFL more ready and more well coached than someone who just dealt with Herm Edwards as his college NFL coach, as far as his college coach at Arizona State. Like he knew how to be a pro coming into this. And I think that's a very interesting, which is honestly kind of odd why you see someone like N'Keal Harry coming out of that exact same system have a hard time.
Yeah, don't make me cry. Stop talking about N'Keal Harry. I'm gonna fucking cry.
Dude, I've got him everywhere. It was actually really funny, like getting ready for this and everything. I kind of was bringing up some different things where ESPN still had him ranked as like their number 3 player in that class.
Oh Jesus!
They're standing by their.
Yeah, that's just holding on to your
Hey,
take
you got to find a hill to die on. I guess that's the one to go for.
Yeah. I'll just quickly back to the Samuel and Ayuk thing. It's not going to matter when George Kittle's in the lineup. George Kittle will just run the deep balls, and Debo and Ayuk will run crosses underneath.
You want to talk about an offense that would be really fun when they get a good quarterback? That's one of them. Because like
Why
the whole drop off, like you haven't even had a drop off.
You don't need a good quarterback.
But they're not. Yeah, they're built for exactly what Jimmy Garoppolo can do, which is not much.
You need a game manager. That's all.
They are built for Yak. Like I mean, that's how he built that team. He knew Jimmy Garoppolo's limitations, and he went, all right, well, this guy can't throw deep. He can't throw outside the numbers very well. So what are we going to do here? Oh, okay. Everybody's going to average 7 yards a catch after the catch. I think a good quarterback could kind of screw up the stuff, the way they got it working there.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I think you may see Alex Smith there next season.
Oh, he would be in heaven. Yeah.
I think you may see Alex Smith there next season as an older guy. San Francisco's not bad enough to get a high pick to get a good quarterback, so they'll probably take one in the second or the third round if they want to.
Reunite Shanahan and a quarterback that can run that offense well. He's as accurate. Garoppolo's accurate. That's the one thing I'll say about him.
Well,
I mean, he's not complete trash. He's a very accurate quarterback, but he's not very good.
Accurate within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration. That Drew Brees has been doing that for years, and he's one of the best in the league. So, like, you guys are disparaging the look. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you guys are just jealous. He's dating porn stars and as handsome as he is. I'm on to you guys.
For me, it was the fact that George Kittle was wearing a picture of him, but sure, I guess the porn star thing counts too.
Dude, Kittle likes him, so come on, man.
Are okay. They're okay. Trust me, it's not as cracked up as it is.
He made George Kittle household name too, so let's give him some credit.
I think George Kittle would have been fine without him.
Yeah. I also think,
we all know that's true for sure.
Learning from Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski for a few years, and Tom saying, hey, throw to your big guy.
Yeah.
I don't know when people are going to catch on to the point that leaving New England isn't good for anybody, especially the coaching staff under Bill Belichick and the players mostly as well.
Flores looks like he's doing okay in Miami.
I was about to say
there's always an exception to the rule.
There's one exception to the rule.
Yeah, the only guy that looks like he could do something from the Belichick coaching tree is Brian Flores.
Like the difference in the Belichick coaching tree and the Holmgren coaching tree is just fascinating.
Disparate, yeah.
It's because Belichick runs
he doesn't
everything.
The micromanagement.
You go get coffee when you're his coach. Like that's all you do. You're the coffee guy at Dunkin' Donuts.
He trusts McDaniels. He trusted Patricia when he was there, but he runs everything. The guy's the greatest coach of all time. He runs everything. He knows exactly what he's doing. He needs coordinators because we've clearly seen that this year with the defense at points. But he runs the entire show. Another name that's on here that I am interested in, because this offense is fully loaded at the receiver position, James Washington.
I mean, he's going into his 4th year. There's obviously questions with Juju and his upcoming contract. Do the Steelers re-sign him? Do they not? I mean, obviously, if Juju is re-signed, James Washington is praying for a trade at this point because he's not going to see a ton of opportunity. The big debate this year was who's going to pop? DeAndre Johnson? Is it James Washington? I mean, everybody that's ever watched this show knows I've been team Deontay Johnson from the start, and you're seeing it. He's second in the league in targets per game behind Devontae Adams. Like, he is in that Antonio Brown role. Chase Claypool's the one catching all the touchdowns. That's why people are talking about him. So James Washington has kind of been left for dead, but he's still a talented receiver. Problem is his niche is deep balls. So Is he ever really going to be like an upper echelon, like top 24 guy? Probably not. But if he gets in the right system, there's upside for flex plays, kind of like what we're seeing with Corey Davis this year. Maybe he can be a consistent, wide receiver 2 in an offense if he finds that right home. And because he's built like a running back at wide receiver. He has the deep ball ability. He showed in college he can break tackles. He hasn't really done that in the NFL, but I think there's opportunity there. It's just there's a lot of moving pieces that need to happen around him.
Yeah, I mean, that Pittsburgh offense, it's just so stacked. I mean,
it is. Absolutely, it is.
That's
the
why
question comes down to quarterback at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, I guess. All right.
Josh Dobbs.
I'm fine with that.
Josh Dobbs. Okay.
Josh Dobbs.
Can we not? I've seen that experiment play out. Like, that dude is a rocket engineer. He needs to be a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph.
Oh, yeah.
Probably still concussion.
See, we all thought that was going to happen last year when Rudolph came in, and Rudolph still couldn't hit him.
Devlin Hodges.
Yeah, Duck.
He's out. He's out to honey right now.
Yeah, he's terrible. Is he in the league still? Because he should not be.
Is.
Brett Hundley. Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci. Yeah. Jalen Hurts.
Garrett Gilbert.
I will take. I wanted Jalen Hurts drafted last year to the Steelers.
Garbage. Can't throw the football. It's that
I don't
simple.
care.
Can't throw the football.
Honestly, the one thing for me is like I almost kind of want someone who's been developed a little bit because we haven't seen Mike Tomlin develop a quarterback yet.
No.
Like going behind Ben, he's done a good job doing it. So almost give me someone who has a little bit of polish on him already. Like, but just wipe off the shit that Adam Gase has done to Sam Darnold. Let him be a decent quarterback at that point.
Darnold needs a Jameis Winston year. Sit behind somebody that he can learn from because he hasn't held up injury-wise. And I said this when he was drafted. Yeah. Redshirt sophomores at quarterback fail miserably.
Johnny Manziel.
I mean, and then you go Deshaun Kaiser drafted too early. I mean, the last one
Kaiser wasn't good, so that's
I get that, but he was a guy that pundits had as he's got all the tools, he could be this, he could be that, but he needed time to develop, and he was thrust into being the guy in Cleveland so early. He was destined to fail. It's the same thing with Sam Darnold. He needs a year where somebody can hopefully work the kinks out of his game that he's carried from college into the NFL, which has been ball security. Same thing with Daniel Jones. And right now it's the same thing with Carson Wentz. They have ball security issues, and it's dragging down what talent they have.
Balls.
He said balls.
I'm so glad you're mature.
I'd say the Wentz thing has more to do with the offensive line. And
I agree. It does.
Same thing with Darnold. Honestly. The head coaching,
the coach.
They stick the ghosts in your head, and they just ruin you. Like they've ruined these guys mentally because they're so bad.
Yeah, and they've had a bad offensive line for a long time.
Yeah.
It's the coach. You could give Sam Darnold the best offensive line in the world: Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Chris Carter, with Shannon Sharp at tight end.
Yeah, they're super old. So I mean, they won.
But guys, stop and think about this for a second. The last redshirt sophomore quarterback that came in and did okay. I mean, we're talking about Alex Smith, and look how long it took him to get to that point.
Elite.
15, yeah. I mean, look, I don't know every redshirt sophomore.
I mean, that's fair. But I'm just saying, that's the first one to me that comes to mind. I mean, he was a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, take your word for it.
Kind of talent, and it took him. I mean, getting to Kansas City before he really started to shine.
What was Baker?
And even then, he's been
What was Kyler?
Kyler was the
senior,
if I'm not mistaken.
But
he
he never played anywhere, right?
Other than Oklahoma.
He had the one good year at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just naming college quarterbacks.
He had Kyler was at A&M, I believe.
What about Danny Warfel? Remember Danny Warfel?
I know the name.
Danny Warfel doesn't even remember Danny Warfel.
I mean, I guess they'd say Chad Henne also, but he didn't.
Good old Chad Henne. Yeah.
Chad Henne
Chad Henne's still in the league, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's a backup in Kansas City.
Kansas City,
really?
Exactly.
Yes,
behind
he's still
Mahomes.
in the league.
Yep. That's
Chad
why
Henne,
I
I
own
remember him
Hey.
when he was throwing dimes to guys like Steve Breston and Mario Manningham. He had Mike Hart behind him in Michigan, but then he goes to the NFL and kind of doesn't do anything. Although what Michigan quarterback has since Tom Brady?
Fun fact: Chad Henne had more fantasy points than Cam Newton the week he filled in the fourth quarter for Patrick Mahomes. Fun fact. Also, fun fact: Who was the guy that you just named that no one remembers his name?
Warfel.
Danny
Warfel.
Warfel.
The one we already forgot.
Danny Warfel had more fantasy points than Cam Newton that week because Cam Newton scored negative points. So you could have started Danny Warfel and have scored more points with him in your lineup than Cam Newton. So I reiterate again, the team that needs a quarterback the most is the Patriots. Not even a question. That's not even a question.
And they won't be in a position to draft one of the top like 2 or 3
God,
guys.
I cannot wait
Sorry,
till we take a
there's gonna be-
7th round kid from a Division III college that
Right.
no one knows.
So I love the narrative is that New England always hits on late round guys when they hit on
We
one
don't.
late round guy.
Yeah, they hit on one.
No, listen.
Like,
You do
they
it
they
can't
hit
draft
on-
for shit.
They hit on 3rd rounders. 3rd round is the sweet spot for us.
Is
For
it?
some, Joe Tooney, it's just the most
a real
recent one
person?
that comes to
You
mind.
named
Joe
off one guy I've never heard of before.
Yeah, I don't even
He's
think
a
he's a real
guard.
person.
He's a guard.
Yeah,
No
Joe
one would
Tooney,
know
that's
him
the
because
guard
he's
they
a guard.
franchised.
Yeah, he's a franchise guard, top 3 guard in the league.
I don't get points for that.
That's
in
the
my
most
leagues.
recent one that comes to mind. Also, he's been decent with 2nd round picks that are not defensive backs.
How's he doing with those tight end picks?
Devin Asiasi and the other
Dalton
guy.
Keene's on
Dalton Keene.
IR.
Yeah.
Dalton Keene's on IR. Asiasi in the game against Denver on the last drive was wide open on 3 plays, and Cam Newton didn't see him. So again, this is just in
So it's all a Cam Newton problem. If
yes,
not for Cam Newton,
yes,
the Patriots would be undefeated.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
So does that mean I need to go to get buy? I need to buy into Kill Harry then?
Yes,
Yeah,
wide
no.
receiver 1 next year.
Dude, I
Okay.
got no,
3rd year
not-
breakout.
Not,
And what
not
league are you
Nikhil.
doing that in? I'm gonna pick up a team in that one.
Hey, if we want to do a dynasty startup, we can go ahead and do that, and I'll just have to take Nikhil Harry at some point.
There you go.
I'm gonna lose. I'm the worst dynasty player here. That's not even a question. So
That's why he hosts.
redraft mentality. I can tell.
I'm at the point where I'm so over redraft at this point in half my leagues.
Oh,
I just
no.
bring on dynasty and rookie drafts.
Redraft all the way. All right. So speaking of terrible tight end picks that the Patriots have had, the next great tight end in the NFL. A few names are on this list. Chris Herndon, who shouldn't be on the list for some
No.
reason. Josh is still banging the drum on Chris Herndon.
Why?
Josh, have you
Dude,
ever
give
seen
up.
this year? Like, have you
So
seen
hold
this
on,
year?
wait, Josh.
The
No,
last
and
time I
that's
saw
kind of the
Chris
point that I'm
Herndon,
getting
he was
at.
on a milk carton at the gas station because he.
I know.
Josh,
I know.
Josh, he went to the U, correct?
He did, yes.
So that's why he's on.
Nailed it.
Fantastic.
Okay, yeah,
Great.
you can mute Josh.
No,
out.
I'm
Okay,
like
we need-
I'm going through and I'm looking at all the tight ends that kind of like, you know, that have been drafted over the last like 2-3 years, give or take. And I'm just trying to think like, all right, who do we think that, you know, could pop that maybe people have just forgotten about?
Jordan
Everybody's been
Akins in
off-
Houston. You know, guys
mean, that-
from 2018, guys like that.
I
could.
still like Kale Waring.
Kinda
I'm
wild.
still holding out
Well,
hope.
yeah, I mean, and there's going to be plenty of those guys. I mean, and Jeremy, I saw you put, initially it was Jay Sternberger, but
Adam Troutman, my boy,
Now it's
on
Troutman,
my
yeah.
dynasty.
and there's plenty of guys, sure, but it's like I'm looking at all right, who can I get stupid cheap?
Right.
Adam
Most
Troutman.
people have probably dropped Chris Herndon by now. With a new coaching staff coming in, I mean, this is a guy that had over 500 yards receiving in his rookie season.
3 years ago.
I mean, sure, it's been a while. I'm not saying it
Hey,
hasn't.
tight ends take a while to develop.
And we've seen this. I mean, look at
But he's
John.
only-
Like, yes, he was behind Delaney
Yeah, you
Walker.
have to have patience
He's-
with that position.
He's
for
only
sure.
regressed though.
Yeah, Gianna has disappeared the last month. So I don't
Yeah,
know
now
if
he's
I want
big
to
and
second
strong.
him.
God,
He's too good of a
I've loved him
blocker.
so
He
much.
created himself a liability there, and they need
Yeah.
him as a blocker. So
And that's the
Firkser
thing is
gets all the
Herndon's
love
not a
now.
blocker. He's a pass catcher. Just right now, he forgot his hands. So
Well,
I had
yeah,
that was always
Johnny
my biggest
Pickett
worry.
my
Is that-
prediction. I'm so
The
upset.
guys
Okay.
with two left hands. What's up?
Real quick, Herndon, I'm looking in the numerous MFL leagues I'm in, and he is available in
He's in most
nothing.
of them.
No, he's only available in redraft. He's not available in
Okay,
any.
but
Where
if
he
somebody,
should
if
be.
you let's say if Herndon was
available
buried
cheap.
deep on your roster, yeah, if
Cheaply
Herndon
had,
was
yeah.
buried deep on your roster and somebody threw a 4th round pick your way, what would you rather have at this point?
Chris Herndon.
Probably Chris Herndon.
Okay,
Third
that's
round,
fair.
fourth.
Throw me a third, I'll
Probably.
take it.
I mean, okay, maybe a
gotta do
third,
it.
but I mean, again, these are dart throw picks.
Can I tell
Like,
you, he's barely
Herndon is a
outscoring
dart
Ross
throw
Dwelly.
player.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'll throw you like a 2026 4th round pick if we're talking like that. That's That's throwing a dart outside the bar through the window trying to hit a bullseye. Like,
Okay,
that's,
who would you
that's
rather
the
have?
dart
But that's what
throw.
you're
Chris
doing
Herndon
with tight ends in Dynasty.
or David
because
Njoku?
it's basically
Yeah,
three
you better
guys.
take
and that's
one you
it.
like and invest and keep him on that bench
Tommy-
for 3 years. And
Tommy-
then, okay, maybe
Tommy-
he does suck now.
Tommy brought up a good if
Yeah.
this then that. What was it?
Chris
I
Herndon.
said, who would you rather have between Chris Herndon or David Njoku?
David Njoku.
David Njoku has more skill.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'd rather
he has
have-
more talent for sure. But
it's a shame. Everybody loved Herndon coming into the year. He started off the season 7 targets in his first
But
game.
that's the thing.
You're
It's the Adam Gase effect.
coming, and then Adam
I mean,
Gase is like, nope.
you
But
get rid of
are-
Gase, his
but
stock
are
instantly
we-
goes up.
Are we sure Adam Gase gets fired? Are we
Yes.
positive?
Without question, they're not.
Hold-
They're not
hold
going
on.
to ruin another franchise quarterback under Adam Gase. As long as he gets him Trevor Lawrence, he's done. And quite honestly,
Yeah, I
as
think
long as
that's
they
the case.
end with the number 1 pick, he's gone. He won't even
yeah,
be
he's
part of
done
the
his
draft.
job. At that point, he really has done his job. They
Yeah,
got the number
yeah.
1 overall pick. They made it look like he made it look like Sam Darnold sucks. And I just talked to a couple other guys about that today. He did everything he should have done, and then get rid of him. It was Adam Gase's fault, and then the Jets can rebuild. They can start over.
Exactly. The best thing for them is that the Jaguars can win one more game, so they can mess around. They have a little breathing room. They give them a 1-game little cushion. They can win one, so Frank Gore doesn't retire on a winless team, and everyone is happy in New York.
You think Frank Gore is retiring? Hold on.
Frank Gore will die on the field before.
Frank-
he
No,
Yeah.
Frank Gore is going to last long enough to play with his son.
Oh yeah, no,
That
that's
would
the
be
year he
amazing.
retires. Is the year him and his son play on the team. He'll play 1 year with the son and then leave. Keep in mind, Frank
Yeah.
Gore will be 41 by the time his son is in the league.
He'll
I
come
need
back
to
and just do a
clone Frank
Marshawn
Gore.
Lynch and play for 1 game if he has to.
Could he be any more or less efficient than he is now? I mean, no.
He could be David Montgomery.
I want to know what Frank Gore says during the NFL rookie draft. What he thinks when running backs get drafted. I mean, you think he wants to flex on these kids? You think he laughs when these guys,
absolutely.
get all excited? Most of those guys don't pan out. None of those guys will be Frank Gore.
First of all,
I mean, he can laugh at every pick if you want.
I think he's
Yeah.
asleep
He's earned
because
it.
the draft is on too late. So
He's
he's already in bed.
He's already at home.
Yeah, he's already sleeping. Like he wakes up the next day at like
It's
4
past
in the
his
morning,
bedtime.
goes outside, gets the paper, and he's like, "Oh,
He's doing something right to play that long.
Yeah,
You're not getting, like, for me, it's like when they start doing like human augmentation, like I want Adrian Peterson blood.
yeah.
Like that's the guy I'm wanting at that point.
yeah.
Frank
Well,
Gore,
not
Adrian
around kids,
Peterson,
though.
Larry
'cause
Fitzgerald. Yeah,
You start
I'm
beating
ex-
kids up and stuff. That's not cool. But
you had to throw that in there. Your tangents are unbelievable.
I am-
Never asked at some point, did the person deserve it?
I'm gonna always err on the side of no. The child did not deserve it.
What if he
I'm
was
bold.
playing with an
I'm bold.
autographed Babe Ruth baseball and it went over the fence and got eaten by a bulldog?
Oh, I've seen that. That should be in
That's
the movie.
Sandlot, right? No one got beat in that movie. I'm just saying.
But
It was a Disney movie. Of course, nobody got beat in it. Come on, Shane.
Well, I mean, lots of bad things happen in Disney movies. There's like implied rape, there's kidnappings, there's murders, there's like everyone's a fucking orphan. Everyone's parents die in Disney.
To all be
movies.
honest, I haven't seen like hardly any Disney movies. I have no.
They're
idea.
all sad. They all have a really
they're all
sad angle to them. Every one of
Well,
them.
Walt Disney was a sad man. That's just, didn't have the greatest life.
Didn't he? Fuck him.
Whoa, I didn't realize
Bill's
I
a
unlocked.
multi-billion-dollar company. Oh,
He's
yeah,
a
that
billionaire when he died. How big has his life been?
How bad
But I
could
meant
it
like
be?
emotionally, the guy had money. Like that's obvious. But
Money helps.
emotionally,
Money doesn't buy happiness, Shane. Don't we?
Bullshit. You ever seen someone upset in a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
So sad.
Yeah,
So
never
sad.
frowning in a Lamborghini.
Tommy, here's the issue. I've never seen, someone through the window of a Lamborghini.
No,
I've driven Lamborghinis. They're not all
Trust me,
I've
you're
driven
not
Lamborghini.
upset when you're
I'm
driving.
Josh. I've driven a Lamborghini.
Dude, I did
man.
valet parking. I've driven Lamborghinis.
I'm Josh. I'm a valet person.
I've seen
I
them.
drove all
on
the
the
cars.
Yeah, seen them in the streets of Philadelphia, and I'm like, that doesn't belong here. Like, all right,
Lamborghini in Philadelphia.
let's go.
Don't you
rob
have
him.
to have enough
I don't believe
potholes
that.
like you would sink into in Philadelphia?
There's never
Yeah.
been a Lamborghini in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
like, ever.
no,
Yeah.
I've seen them.
Oh, shit.
Anyway,
It's
what
on
are
the
we
right
talking
side
How
of
drunk
Philly.
were you when you saw it? Are you sure
You
you
saw
saw
a
it?
stolen Lambo.
Sober,
in
yes.
Philadelphia.
It's all stolen.
Stolen Lambo.
Had to be. there was rioting and shit going on. Someone stole a Lamborghini in Philly. It sounds exactly like it.
Look at Roger's new car.
Of course.
So I'm going to go ahead and take Noah Fant as the next great tight end.
Is he not already kind of?
I know, that's what I thought. That's
Is he?
why, I mean, there's a lot of guys you can say.
Deeper than his ceiling is, I'll guarantee you.
Yeah, I still feel like people are still
sure.
sleeping on him because he's tied to Drew Lock, who's very bad at football.
Who's also
And
been injured.
Alberto
So
is
people
there
forget
now
about him.
too.
Yeah.
I'd take
Alberto
Drew Lock
had
over
1 or
Cam
2
Newton.
games. Yeah, I would not take Drew Lock over Cam Newton.
I will go
Unless
every
it's-
starting.
When in hell, man. Even at the
Unless
age.
not unless it's a dick measuring contest because Drew Lock is huge.
Guys.
Apparently,
Guys, listen.
Shame,
Listen.
my goodness.
No, that's true.
you
No,
know this,
there's a
Tom?
video. No, there's
Yeah.
a video online of people like heckling him and saying it called big
Yeah.
cock lock. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he apparently is
Horse cock.
packing.
We got Big Dick Nick, Big Cock Lock.
big cock lock.
so I mean, it's apparently
You can't
yeah.
sit on the sidelines and rap to Jeezy and have a small one. No, you can't do
yeah.
that.
How do you think Mitch Trubisky
Also,
feels?
also
I love
John
titties.
Hamm.
I mean, it's so
John
so
Hamm,
different.
supposedly his nickname is the
Yeah.
Hammer Cock.
Oh.
Wow.
Why
I
are we
think-
talking
you know
about
what,
penises?
I don't know.
Right,
I
where
don't
did
know
this-
what you guys are doing.
I was keeping it football related, but if
I
we're going to
always go
start
into
talking
the
about
situation as if
random
mine's the
people.
biggest they've ever seen. I don't know about you guys.
Just-
I mean, that's how you have to do it.
Just 5 dudes on a podcast that sounds like a strip club talking about penises.
Yeah,
Just
of
a
course.
We should do an
normal-
episode
The
from the
wrong
strip club.
kind of strip club, apparently.
Normal Friday night.
Can we do an
All
episode
male
from the
panel
strip club?
talking about dicks.
Sure.
Wow.
where you guys? Where's everybody located? Josh is in
I'm in Florida.
Florida. Joe's
Straight up,
in
yeah, that's essentially the strip club of America.
yeah.
Right.
Joe is in.
Dallas.
Fuck you. Tommy.
I don't like it. Don't think I like it. I'm
You
in
don't
Dallas.
like it.
Tommy, you're local, aren't you?
Indiana.
No, not even a little bit. Okay.
Hey, I am willing to relocate. So if you have a good
I
idea
am
for
also
relocation-
willing to very much relocate. Shane, where are you?
Philly. So
Which is
Oh,
why I was
yeah.
picking on him.
yeah,
Yeah,
we got
that's-
lots of strip clubs too, but
Yeah,
not
I
as good
bet.
as Florida's. Not as good as Florida's.
No.
Probably
We just meet
a
up in
shit ton
Nashville
better
or
than
something.
Indiana. Indiana,
Yes, it
I
is.
just
I'm in Ohio. It's better than how they say Canada is like the little brother or whatever to the United States. It's like that's Indiana to Ohio. Same. That's the analogy they draw. No offense, Tommy, but that's how
is
they.
Indiana
Ohio
right
is
next to
trash
Ohio?
can.
Indiana
the
is
United
just like
States.
it. But what's that?
Ohio's the trash can of the United States.
No, good
wow,
God,
New
man.
Jersey has
So
some
much better
words
than
to talk
Indiana.
about with
Every
you,
way.
sir.
Not even close.
I will take
Oh
Jersey.
shit, we're gonna get a stoner.
Jersey,
on
The
Hey,
Jersey.
only
Jersey,
thing that
Jersey,
Ohio
come on
has
now.
is jungle gyms.
They
That's
have
it.
better everything.
I would
No, you
take the
have
state of
nothing in Ohio.
Indiana over
You're-
Cam Newton.
You
You've
know
never
when you
been
cross
there.
the border into Ohio because
I
you
knew
can
this would
start
happen when I
smelling
said
it
this
to
to
roll your
Tommy, by the
windows
way.
up.
No, hell no, man. You've never been to Ohio. You've been on the highway.
I want to reiterate. I would take the state of Indiana over Cam
over
Newton.
turn. Yeah.
Over
Ohio's
what,
just-
Canada?
Over no
Over
Cam,
Cam
Newton,
Newton.
Oh,
Cam
geez,
Newton?
Wow.
former
Your quarterback.
NFL
Hey,
MVP.
we have good alcohol, so that's
So
the
Noah
thing.
Fant is too obvious. So I'm just going to steal the next guys. Adam Troutman.
Well, let's just talk about those guys that we think could, and I would have chosen Harrison Bryant. There's so many guys that are.
I like
have already
Harrison
kind of-
Bryant.
Yeah.
They've already broken out. That
Yeah.
was my guy, but
The problem with him is he's stuck behind Hooper for at least 2 more years. Hooper's
As soon as
contract
Hooper's
is
hurt,
just
plug
Hooper's
Harrison Bryant.
bad.
yeah.
Or if they move David Njoku out of town, which he's been wanting to get out of there, they can run their 2 tight end sets with Kevin Stefanski, and you get
Yeah.
a former Mackey Award winner starting in your lineup.
Well, Bryant's already kind of moved into that role. I don't know if you've noticed, but those 2 tight end sets, he's already that's one of the reasons Njoku's so pissed and wants to leave. It's it's kind of unfortunate because I'd like all 3 guys to stick around, but he's already kind of made it, so I didn't put him. And Troutman's shown out the past 3 weeks over Jared Cook, so it's kind of it's not really a good pick. Even Fant is probably. Those guys have already sort of shown out a little bit.
All right, fine.
I mean,
TJ
Troutman's
Hawkinson.
really only had 1 good game.
All right, fine.
I don't think people
Aaron
realize is
Waller.
that TJ Hawkinson is actually the tight end 3.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people
Go
realize
buy him, right? Go buy him now.
Okay, but here's my thing. Hear me out though.
Mark
Can
Andrews,
you get
damn it.
TJ Hawkinson that you normally could for what the tight end 3 would cost? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
don't think he's going to cost like an exorbitant amount of money to get what you would pay for the tight end 1. Look
So
at the
I-
drop
For a
off.
second. You
The-
get him for a second.
You think he in a one tight end league maybe? Start one. I'd give up a second for fucking
I'd
TJ
give up a
Hawkinson.
second for Hawkinson.
I'm gonna go look
Yeah,
that
I
up
mean,
right
in a
now.
one
Is
tight
that your
end
point,
league,
Tommy,
like,
that-
I don't. I think the only tight ends really that garner that first round consideration right now are Kittle and Kelsey. That's it.
Kittle, Kelsey, not Waller, huh? Mark Andrews.
Waller's
Not
fringe.
Andrews. And Hawkinson at this point, even given what he's done, you wouldn't give up a first round pick for him. You don't think
I
people
might.
would want a first round pick? I do, but I don't know.
I think
I don't. I just again we go back to that whole he's good at blocking.
Yeah, but he's also good at scoring.
on the field.
Really good at
Double
scoring.
digit-
Yeah, they
Definitely
use
really
him in
is.
that role, sure. But again, kind of back to that James Robinson argument. New new coach comes in, new coordinator comes in. How are they going to use him?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm a
How
little
are you
less-
I mean,
gonna
look at
use-
Austin Hooper.
But
He was-
in
he was
Jacksonville and
productive.
in
Yeah,
Jacksonville,
Austin
and
Hooper-
Washington, I'm also not worried about a new quarterback.
Yeah,
I'm not
TJ
worried about that.
Hawkinson.
Plus, you have Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones who don't have a contract after the 2020 season.
Oh,
The only starting wide receiver they have on
You're
that team
right, yeah.
is Quintez Cephas.
Yeah,
The
Jones is
goat.
done
So
this
now that
year.
they're
Jones
releasing
is
Marvin
done.
Hall, we're about to see blow up and
Goat
Stafford's got
Taz.
2
Wow.
years, right? 2 years, Tommy, and
Yep.
yeah, and Jones is done this year, so they and Galladay too, both. Yeah, so they don't have any pass catchers. You
They
just
don't have
said that.
anyone else.
And
Yeah.
so like they're not going to throw to Hawkinson suddenly, regardless of who's coach. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think you have to trust what he's accomplished and that he's a talent and that the next coach is going to use
Oh, no,
him.
I
But
agree.
There's always
No,
those questions
I'm
for
not
sure,
saying
Josh.
not.
Yeah.
I'd
it's
give
like
a
the same
second,
thing like
but-
with Irv Smith Jr. is like once he gets
Ah.
out of the shadow of Kyle Rudolph, is he going to actually start to produce at some point?
not
But
in
is
that
Kyle
offense.
Rudolph even casting a shadow?
No,
That's what I was going to add. I didn't want to.
In the red zone, yes. But
No,
in
but
PPR
even still-
formats, like in the 40-40, it's
But
like,
he's not.
eh,
It's not like Rudolph is stopping him from being PPR relevant. What's stopping him from being relevant is Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, and they love the offense that way. They I think between Jefferson and Thielen, they get like 70% of the targets. They're
No,
perfectly fine with
up
that.
until last week, the Minnesota Vikings had scored the most touchdowns inside the red zone. They had scored 20. There had only been 2 players who had done that. That was Dalvin Cook with 10 and Adam Thielen with 10. No one else on the Minnesota Vikings had actually scored a red zone touchdown to that point.
All right.
You know, Stefanski leaving is what hurt Irv Smith, the tight end. I mean, that's
They're not running as much 12.
Yeah, they're just
Apparently,
not
they
doing
hate
it.
tight ends there.
Well, they don't like him
I'm
as much
curious.
this year. Though.
What happens in Philadelphia, a team that's run more 2 tight end personnel than anyone else? You have Zach Ertz, who wants to be paid like a top tight end, even though he couldn't stay healthy, and he's getting outproduced by someone like Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
He's
Dallas
getting
Goedert falls
outproduced,
into
but-
the tight end 1. So what happens with someone like a Zach Ertz, I should say?
He's getting outproduced by Richard Rodgers, by the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Just,
Well, he was
just
hurt,
for the record,
no, just stat, even per game basis. I'm talking about.
for the record, if
First
Goddard
one's out.
if
There's
Goddard
no doubt.
didn't get hurt, we would probably be talking about Dallas Goedert as a probable.
Oh yeah,
top
he'd be
5
one of those
tight end.
top 3 guys. Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And here's the thing: so, I mean, we might as well put him in there because Ertz is shit canned after this year. They're gonna find a way to
done.
move him. They don't want him. He bitched before the season that
Yeah, he doesn't want to be
the
there
contract.
either. So I think you're seeing
Yeah.
that on the field all around. Yeah, it's
He
not a
bitched-
happy marriage.
He's crying about a contract 2 years before it was up, which usually I'm all about the players. That's fine. You know what I mean? Get as much as you can. But bitch, you're making like $11 million a year and you suck. Like you are trash this year. Shut your mouth. Like just go away. And they have Goddard there already. So
Yeah.
I think they move
Yeah,
on.
there's a potential out for Philadelphia after this year. His
Also, to the comment to Jenna, Ezekiel Elliott, if you have him, play him. Same thing for Devontae Booker. Make a spot for him in your roster.
Oh yeah, Jenna, you're gonna want to go to Elliot. Yeah. She's
Yeah,
an
make us
emergency
both.
room nurse. I don't know
yes,
if you knew that.
yeah. I
ER
wanted to
nurse.
bring it up because
I know
she
this
is
was a Dynasty focused episode, but I just wanted to say, you know.
Yeah.
Well, she's an ER nurse, so I wanted to bring up her question.
Yeah,
anyways,
she's
'cause-
commented with us before. We love
Yeah,
her.
I know she's in here sporadically, so we appreciate it.
We have
but-
the same issues in Dynasty every week too. Who are going to
Yeah.
start? So
I want.
there's
I gotta be.
definitely overlap.
And this is crazy. I want mine Booker this week with no Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, and
Not
that's
excited.
kind of what I was getting at with the chat. It's like if you need a safe floor, I think Elliott's your best bet. Upside, I think
Yeah.
is Booker, just because it's. I mean, it's the Jets.
Uh,
But it's like we've
It's
seen
the
this.
one
We've
spot
seen
on the
this
Jets
play out
defense
before.
whether
It's like
decent
backups
against
are
them.
backups for a reason.
we do know that J.K. Dobbins is playing the Cowboys, right? We
Yes,
we
yeah,
understand
We do,
that.
but there's also Mark Ingram to worry about. There's also
Sure.
Gus Edwards to worry about.
Sure.
So we don't really know the divide between those three. Could
Sure.
Dobbins pop? Absolutely. But he could also get you 2 points.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Dobbins. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got Dobbins.
Dobbins.
Look,
Yep.
I wouldn't be mad at any of those, but probably
I can't do Zeke.
I'm not going to do Zeke against Baltimore.
him.
Come to think of it,
Fuck him.
I'll go Dobbins or Booker.
I mean, the thing with Booker, 9 running backs have finished as a top 24 or better against them. Even if he gets 15 to 20 touches, which we think could be a possibility with Josh Jacobs out, especially when you might not likely have Nelson Aguilar in the red zone. Who else are they going to use other than Darren Waller and at this point Devontae Booker?
Right. That's a great point.
Renfro.
Yeah, Renfro
Man.
went. Yeah, that's a great point. That little fucker is good.
Love.
I have to say
Renfro.
it.
My
It's a little
boy.
slot.
Well,
guy.
you've been on the
I'm going
Renfro
Dobbins.
bandwagon since before the season even started.
I was thoroughly pissed that the Patriots didn't pick Hunter Renfro to be the replacement to Julian Edelman. I was thoroughly aggravated with that because we've had.
I thought they were going to go Andy Isabella because it made so much
Yeah.
sense for the New England team to take the Boston College prospect.
UMass.
UMass, there you go.
Yeah. Also,
Whatever, same fucking area.
Also, keep in mind, UMass is probably the worst Division I college football program in the country. So,
Which says something when Kansas still exists.
Well,
That's great.
I guess.
Hold on
I
this.
mean, but hold real because I want to wrap up the show on this note because this past weekend, I didn't watch the game per se, but if you know where I'm going here, the Buffalo Bulls played Kent State. If anyone doesn't know where I'm going, there's someone by the name of Garrett Patterson.
Yeah.
Had no clue who he was. Absolutely
You
no
learn now.
idea. I know now. He tied, and this is painful to think that Kalen Ballage holds a record, but Kalen Ballage held the record for most rushing touchdowns in a college football game.
That's surprising considering he was better
didn't
as a
think that was the
receiver at
case.
Arizona State.
I thought that was. I saw an article saying that Ballage had the record. So
I'm gonna
you can
look
fact
Oh,
check
it
me
was
on that,
true.
Tommy.
It was true.
Was it really? I thought
I
it was an old time score is what I was saying. I thought it
No.
was someone older than Kalen Ballage.
No,
No,
8
I remember
touchdowns.
that.
So
Oh
now
shit.
Jarrett Patterson, 409 rushing yards on 36 carries and 8 touchdowns. He tied Kalen Ballage's college football record for rushing touchdowns in a game. Keep in mind, before that game, he had 8 touchdowns coming into that game, and he also had just over 500 rushing yards coming into that game. He doubled his statistics in one game. And I wanted to see, okay, was this a fluke? Is Kent State really that bad? Over his career at Buffalo, he averages 6.2 yards per carry, and he has 49 touchdowns in just 20 games of college football play. Again, it is the MAC. They don't play defense. He's 5'9", 195. Not
Devin
the
Singletary.
big. Yeah, Devin Singletary. Not the biggest guy, but also not a guy we look at and say,
Motor.
okay, he's too tiny to make it in the NFL, maybe as a starter or even as a 1A, 1B kind of guy. He is a junior this year. He will probably, my guess, is stay his senior year. If he doesn't, do you take a 5th-round waiver or a 4th-round waiver in your dynasty drafts on Jarrett Patterson?
Absolutely.
I love it. I want
I
to
mean,
take
why
him.
the hell not?
I want to
Absolutely.
take him.
I mean, when
Hey,
it comes
you give
to
me Darth
depth
as a
at the
running back
running back
anytime.
position, throw all the darts at it.
Yeah, he's getting drafted.
He could be the next Kalen Ballage. You never know.
God damn it.
He is the next Kalen.
He had 2,000 yards from scrimmage last year for Buffalo.
Okay, for what I'm looking at right now, the record is now held by Patterson and former Illinois running back Howard Griffith, who rushed for 8 scores in 1990 against Southern Illinois.
Good old Howard Griffith of Family Guy, right? That's Peter Griffith. Damn it.
That's
That's Peter.
That's Peter Griffin.
That joke almost stuck, Shane.
Damn it.
Wow.
Peter Griffin.
So close. Other than the first name being wrong and the last name being wrong.
Shane,
right on
I
point.
was never going to
Being
question
Shane
you.
Manilla.
Yeah.
What it
I
would
was going
like
to let you have your
suspended.
spotlight.
What it would like to be to spend a week inside Shane Manilla's brain. He's already said we would not last a day.
We wouldn't last a day. I think you're right.
Howard, it was the Andy Griffith show. I don't know if that's where you were trying to pull that
Exactly.
from.
It was
Oh
that.
my-
That's why
I mean,
came
you're old
from.
enough to remember it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not
I can
old
make
enough.
that old joke because I'm finally not the oldest one on the show.
No, look, I love making the old person joke because the same thing. Whenever there's someone else older than me around, I'm like, fucking yeah, you're getting it. Like, sorry, pop.
I will never be the oldest one on the show. So.
No.
Well, not unless one of those two dies and you replace them with someone younger.
Wow, that was morbid.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, you can't say never.
I mean,
Well, I think it's between I think you're 20 something, Joe.
22.
Yeah, you're
Jesus.
22. Yeah, so it's you then me then Josh.
Wow. So many
I
things I
remember
could say right now.
Friday night. I was definitely not podcasting.
I've never had a life.
Also, there wasn't podcasting because it was
Yeah.
like 20 years ago. So
if I wasn't doing this, I'd
Yeah.
probably be playing video games with my buddies.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what I was doing. I was probably playing like Madden 1.
Joe Zolo, the radio DJ voice.
Madden 1.
Yeah, it was
Back
the
on
first
Super
Madden.
Nintendo.
Madden 1.
Yeah.
the first
Hey, I've still
Madden-
got
There
Madden
wasn't
92 on
Tecmo
Super
Bowl.
Nintendo.
Come on, Shane. You know it was
The-
Tecmo Bowl.
Oh, I
Super
love me some
Tecmo
Tecmo
Bowl,
Bowl.
yes.
I'm not gonna lie to you, but I wasn't
I
playing
played
that in my
that.
20s.
The-
And I
Like
was
Bo
playing that as
Jackson,
a
the cheat
teenager.
code.
the
I
first-
played that when I was dating Joe's mom, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
And I didn't mean that as a nasty joke. I just
Oh.
I
based
didn't
on
think
your
he
age,
meant it as a
pal.
nasty joke. I don't know why they're thinking that.
Yeah,
I
I
just
just
thought-
mean yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
literally
Back in
old
the
enough.
day.
You're
Back
old
in the
enough to
day.
be his father.
My parents
Exactly.
graduated Everett High, 1988, 1989.
I have abortions that are older than Jeff.
I almost said that, but I refuse to be that crude on a podcast. Thank you for saying
that was too far. I'm sorry.
I don't care. I thought it was funny. I think,
I think that's
we all need to loosen our pants a little bit. When
I
it comes
think
to
so.
jokes. I
And
thought that
the
was
fact that
hilarious.
this game we play can bridge the span of time and bring us all together, me and my son Joe. I thank you
know.
all for being here for this family-oriented show.
So
Shane just said he has
my
abortions on
biological
the show.
father, not named Jeremy, he actually, I believe, he had just come from a fantasy football draft the day I was born. Yeah, August 11th. I'm pretty sure he just came from a fantasy football draft the day I was born with his buddies. So
I wouldn't even shown up. I gotta be honest with you. I would have been like hammered. I would've been
I'm
like,
sorry,
nope.
honey. I can't make it.
I probably still would have been at B-Dubs.
I would have been at the strip club already. Like after the
That's what I'm saying.
draft.
We need to have
Yeah.
a strip club podcast
Yeah.
at some point, or we do a draft at the strip club, and we have some of the strippers draft their own teams.
It's
Oh.
like it's
One
like
tomorrow,
the,
I
like that.
it's like the league when it was the Drades draft when they all went to Los Angeles because
No, it was Vegas.
no, Josh, shut up. It was Los Angeles, and it was Ted had AIDS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
idiot.
Good times, good times.
You gonna test me on the league knowledge?
No,
Come on.
the strip club, like they were actually in the strip club in season 2. That was with
no,
when they had
Vegas was
Ocho
Chad
Cinco.
Ochocinco by the pool.
Yeah. I know, but they had the first part of it. They were in the strip club. They were getting draft advice.
Mm.
Always like the draft advice by the pool or in the
Yeah,
strip club. I mean, really, wherever they'll
but
take that
You can't-
advice.
But
honestly, you can't pay for that kind of content. There's no paywall that is
Right.
worth that kind of advice.
So we're going to a strip
Your
club.
paywall is just cover charge.
I mean, there's-
Yeah, Shane.
How
I'm
soon
pretty
can
sure
we
are
be
going to
there?
a strip club at that point.
Okay.
Are
Alright,
we all
just-
meeting in the middle or something? Like, what's the
Yeah,
plan here?
like Philly.
We'll get the big table or whatever. Yeah.
Not in the middle at all.
No, I think it's in the, and then
Nashville?
yeah.
Nashville would work. Yeah.
I don't know
I'm
that
fine
I
with
want to go
Nashville.
to. I've never been to a country titty bar, so that would be pretty fun.
They're not all country.
No, well, I want to go to a country one though.
Nashville's
Okay, we'll go to Nashville. That's fine,
Nashville's
yeah.
pretty country.
Yeah, I
Like-
want to go to like a Western country and Western gentlemen's club.
I
Okay.
Dream big, dream big.
Yes, that's fine.
So,
We got to decide. Okay, we're doing this out in the public, like in the middle area, or are we doing this like where you're renting like a private room with bottle service?
oh, I just thought we were going to go in the public with our phones
Yeah,
out.
public
like,
area,
I'm
man.
drafting. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this too fancy. I feel like we need to slum this down a little
Too
bit.
fancy. We're in a strip club.
In
They have-
Nashville.
Okay, yeah,
In
but we can go on like a
Nashville.
boneless wing or like a wing night or whatever.
Well,
Like,
does
we
it
can still get
have-
a deal out of this?
I think we do
Just
downtown
find
Nashville.
one with a good buffet. They're all over the place in Florida.
Can we
Do
do
you want
an
a
auction?
strip club buffet though?
Can we do
Hey,
an
there was
auction?
one across the street from my house in Orlando, and it was fantastic. So
Wow, that's
Sure.
Wow.
I just went for the buffet.
That's not
Yeah.
the kind of buffet I think most
Also,
guys go
can
for.
we-
Yeah, it's like he also reads porn for the fucking
Yeah. The articles.
stories.
Yeah.
Can we
No,
can
no,
we
no, I
do
like
it?
this.
Can
It's
we
good
do
magazine.
can we do an auction draft and use bunny money as
Yes.
like what you actually
The dollars.
Dude,
Let's do it. I like it.
I'm
get
fine
the
with this.
get the
actually.
strip club to sponsor? Hey, I'm just saying.
All right. I'll tweet that out. Are there any strip clubs that want to sponsor our Dynasty draft?
and
Absolutely,
Dynasty
yeah.
auction draft.
Uh,
Yeah.
Make
Yeah,
it happen.
What is happening?
This seems
What
like a
the-
no-brainer.
What is
to be
this?
honest with you.
What are we doing? Like, what is happening?
Hey, we said this
This
was
is
going to go
called
off the rails.
brainstorming.
So.
This is called
Did that.
brainstorming. This is how
Like, we
brilliant
don't-
ideas happen.
We don't have to be
Apple
live
wasn't
right
just
now.
designed in a garage for no fucking reason.
Like
It was
this,
built off things like this.
Yes, but then we can't say that it actually happened if it's not live and out for everyone to see it and hear it.
It's going to happen though. We're
Like-
going to tweet about it.
like
There you go.
I'm just imagining like Steve Jobs. Like, was he in his garage brainstorming and like throwing ideas
While getting
like,
a lap
hey,
dance.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
Yes.
what
Imagine
about
he
this?
spent a lot of time in his garage.
What if we like? What about the strip club idea? It's like, I don't think we're the next Steve Jobs, but we're on our way. I think we're on our way for the,
It's
for the
happening?
next.
Yeah.
All right.
the
Well, you're
next
22.
decade.
It's cute to have dreams and shit. I'm 42. The only, I don't
One thing
think
is,
I'm
like,
the
out
next.
of all of us, he's the
cute
one
to
that's
have dreams and
overly
shit.
artist.
Shane
I am not
already
the next
tweeted-
anything.
Shane already tweeted any strip clubs that would like to sponsor a Dynasty Auction League draft. Please contact.
Yes.
Okay.
I see it. That's great.
So we can now add into our bio the Tinder of Fantasy Football podcast and advocate for stripper Dynasty Auction League
Dude,
drafts.
we're called
Nursing
Club
school
Fantasy.
does not pay
There's a
itself.
strip club in Atlanta called Club Fantasy.
There you go. I think that's a natural.
So all right. So hold on. We've now decided that now. We're meeting in Atlanta and we're doing a Dynasty League auction draft for Club Fantasy at Club
There you go.
Fantasy.
All right.
Done.
I'm all
Look,
for
nursing
it.
school doesn't pay for itself. Okay, we have to hold these things on location.
Listen,
Coronavirus
I
has
was-
been bad. Like
Yes.
small businesses are suffering. We're doing our part to help out the
Support the
community.
community.
I was-
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was
One
on
lap dance at a time.
I was on TikTok and this stripper was taking you through a day in the life of her job. She said on a Wednesday night, in just 3 hours, she made $720.
Yeah. I don't.
No,
I don't
fun
feel
fact: I
sorry
was
for
actually
her.
asked to be a stripper one time.
Yeah. Why'd you turn it down? It's a good
Yeah.
gig. Good money.
I was
Good
done with the
exercise?
army.
Oh, well, okay, fine.
I mean, I
There it
guess.
All right.
Kinda.
Fine.
I mean, aim high is what they say, but I don't know that you did in that situation.
No,
I went pretty low.
you set the bar low so that way when you exceed the bar, you're very happy with yourself.
I've done nothing but set the bar as low as possible, so I can't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Hey, get Club Fantasy masks for us too, so we can recognize one another and we know who else is drafting with us, so we don't get lost in the shuffle inside the strip
You should
club.
probably glow
We
in
can
the
have
dark.
like little gift bags at the door.
Yeah, I don't know that the strip club's going to let us walk around with gift bags, but
Why not? What if it? What if
Masks.
What if it's Club Fantasy co-branded?
that's
Club
true.
Fantasy at Club Fantasy.
Josh is actually getting in touch with Club Fantasy in Atlanta right now. To get
I
us
see
floated
it.
out
What I'm
there.
typing.
Yes. So you can find all of Jeremy's written content at
I don't write anymore, man, and I don't edit your shit anymore either. Thank God. No, you write some good stuff though, man.
What is happening? This last like 20 minutes of conversation did not need to be live, but it,
It
We're happy.
absolutely needed to be live.
I am
That way
proud
we
of
know
us.
if
We-
anyone else does this, we know who stole it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we can. Oh, Maggie.
there you go, right here.
great.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Maggie.
my girlfriend in the other room listening to
Awesome.
this conversation, I can design the gift bags for you to
Thank
use at the
you.
strip club. Great.
Can you make them like
Someone
Maggie?
is being proactive.
I like this. We got to think. We got to think of like what we want, like club. So like there should be like boobies and tassels. I don't know. I'll think on some stuff. Maggie, I'll send Joe.
We are doing this for the people.
This is for the kids. This isn't for us. This is
No,
for
no,
the
do
kids.
this for all your fans.
It's a fundraiser for St. Jude's Children's Hospital at Club Fantasy.
No,
that's all
we
you have to do.
We can consider it a tax write-off.
All you have to do. And we're covered. It's
right
good.
off. What are we, a non-profit? Like
We are now.
We're now a 501c3. We're doing a tax.
There you go, baby.
Let me say this. It will make it easier for me to embezzle if we are a nonprofit.
That's
So-
true.
Oh yeah, non-profits make way more money. Yeah, no.
So that's what we're going to do.
Every
We are a
donation that we
nonprofit.
get,
Right.
50% of that goes to some charities. Goes to St. Jude's or whatever.
St. Jude's, or it
We're
goes
raising
to
money for a good cause. One
Future
lap
Strippers
dance at
of
a time.
America.
One
Future
lap
Strippers of
dance.
America.
Raising money for a cause, one lap dance at a time.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes.
tagline.
Got it.
Love it.
Oh,
One.
Yeah.
brilliant marketing.
That
What a
is
group
the
think session this was. I
tagline.
love it. The brainstorm.
This is how
Yeah.
magic happens.
Started his
And we're just not
podcast
doing it in
now we have
Magic
a business
City. We're doing it at Club Fantasy
in Atlanta.
In
In
Atlanta.
ATL, baby. Come see us.
in the
So
ATL.
6. Wow. Great
He's Shane
comeback
Manilla.
stories.
You can find his writing at DLF and his
Yes.
podcasting primarily at DynastyTradesHQ.
Great comeback stories in Atlanta. Thank you for laughing. God, your brain, all you guys' brains too old to realize the joke, because my dad picked up on that one. None of you were. Come on now.
Well, look, this is a family show, okay? I don't want
It hasn't been a family show since minute 6. It has
Let's-
not
What's
been a
wrong with-
family
Unless you
show.
were talking
Strip
about a
clubs-
certain
Strip
Ravens
clubs and
linebacker.
snowballing
you
are two
lost
totally
me.
different things.
Oh, snowballs. Are we talking about that again?
Are we talking
Yeah,
about Bowser?
Was I on a show? Whose show was I on when we were talking? I was talking about snowballs with someone. I
Like,
forget.
is it snowballs, the things that you throw at people in the winter, or is that like
From
Freaking
Clerks. Go see Clerks. Clerks.
We're gonna let you figure that one out, Joe. We'll let you
Okay.
turn into a big boy.
cocaine? I don't
No,
know
no.
what.
Seriously, all you need to do
Google
is just
snowball.
Google Snowball Clerks.
Snowball. All right, that's the last thing we're gonna do on the show.
Oh,
Snowball.
you're
Such
gonna
a good
describe
movie.
it online. Okay.
Clerks. Yeah,
All right.
why
We're gonna
not?
do this
Right
live.
at this
You can
point,
do blue waffle too while you're at it.
I don't. Nope. Two
Two girls, one cup.
Let me see. Image. Should I go images?
No.
Yes.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of black and white. Well, you guys are really old.
Well, this
Um,
okay. This was in black and white, but it wasn't that old, that movie.
All right, well, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, I see one of the
Watch the scene. Watch the scene.
one of the gifts says my girlfriend sucked
Yes.
37, and you can finish the rest of the sentence.
Yes.
That's
You
what
saw
that says.
37 dicks. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what the sentence said. Apparently, I
Yeah.
wasn't going to say it, but that's what the sentence said.
I mean, it was a different time. We were more judgmental back then in the 90s, you know? Now, you suck as many dicks as you want. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you happy. I had 3 on the way home today. Whatever.
Wow.
You can find Tommy's work. I missed that last part, and I don't want it. I don't want to revisit it.
I gave 3 guys blowjobs on the way home. I was
How
saying.
do I even wrap this up? Like, how does one culminate the show?
I don't
No
know
one
if
wraps
you
it up
can.
around Shane. You know this already.
Like, do
Sorry.
I just like?
Yeah, you just fucking end it. You go, thanks for listening. We'll try better next week. We won't have Shane on.
Hey,
We
do you
won't have
remember what I
Shane on
said?
next
I
week.
set the
That's
Joe,
bar
you said you
low
would
in
be
week
on
one.
your A game today. What the hell happened,
Josh,
man?
I am on my A game, and then Shane pulled out abortion jokes 6 minutes into the show.
It was at least
No,
an
that
hour.
was about
No, dude, it was
an
6
hour and
minutes.
26 minutes. in.
Yeah, that was way into it. At that point,
Well, what
you
was
had
the
me on way
6-minute
too
joke,
long.
Mark?
I didn't have any
That
abortion
wasn't
jokes
abortion.
until
There's
way
so many.
later. Yeah. Abortion jokes you do late because you don't know how they're going to fall.
You
Yeah,
want
that could
to
be
You don't want to
really-
lose your audience too early.
Right, you alienate the
Exactly.
audience really early. That's when, like,
Shane's been doing this a while, Joe.
the screen goes black, and then you're like, you DM them, and they're like, "Look, I'm very religious. I find you offensive, and I'm praying for your soul." And you're like, "So does that mean I'm not coming back on the show?"
Shane just makes us look easy. That's the hard part.
So yeah, you can find us at Dynasty Trades HQ podcast.
Yeah.
Me and Jeremy Brown. A lot less abortion and snowballs talk. A little more fantasy football. But we did good today.
Yeah.
We did a lot of fantasy football.
We covered a lot.
Honestly,
of it.
Shane, like this place is just a dirty atmosphere. It's not necessarily all family friendly. I'm a little disappointed in this. I don't know about you guys.
I'm not disappointed.
I don't even know what the
I thought I was coming on to a clean.
Oh, I see.
respectable
Yeah,
show.
yeah. You're,
Like
yeah,
I
well,
thought
in
this
that
was a
case,
clean Christian rock
thought so.
fantasy football show, and it's not. It's clearly
No.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was like the Nickelback of fantasy. I'm sitting here dealing with.
Oh, Jesus.
the most vanilla
What a
thing ever.
fucking
Yeah.
insult that was. Jesus.
You know, I'm going to tweet out that if you weren't joking about blowjobs, abortions, and strip clubs, then you weren't on the podcast with me.
You're too untied at that point.
I didn't read the show
Shit.
notes until like 2 minutes
I didn't
before the
either.
show, and I probably should have read through them thoroughly because I clearly missed the part where we talk about strip clubs and penises. So I
Oh,
yeah.
that's good, buddy.
I mean, that's
Extemporaneously speaking, strip clubs.
Yeah, when don't you? When don't you? You know what I mean?
you know, most days I don't talk about
Yes.
penises.
Yeah,
Most
most
days.
days, yes. Yeah.
But
All right, well, you know,
vocabulary, expanding
I'm a-
your horizons.
I'm a little different than you guys.
We know that. We know.
Conversations just go a different way with me sometimes. That's all.
Shane's at a point in his life where he's like, I don't care.
I literally haven't cared since about the age of 15. Like this has been me since about the age of 15, like telling abortion jokes and shit. And my mom just going, but why? Why? I didn't raise you like this. And I'm like, bitch, you alcoholic whore. You didn't raise me at all.
I can imagine Shane's mom looking at him was like, why? Like, why do you do this?
Oh, good God.
Because I can, Mom.
Good time.
All right. So here's my attempt at wrapping up the show normally. You can follow Shane and Jeremy at those lovely handles right there. Shane is the worst! Exclamation point.
Stressing. Yeah.
Stress.
Oh,
He
it's the most
stresses
fitting
that.
You're definitely not the worst, Shane, I promise. We love you, buddy.
I'm trying.
Again, setting the bar low to exceed expectations. That's exactly
Remember
what
when
he's
I said
doing.
I set the bar the lowest in your guys' inaugural episode?
Yeah.
The shoulder shrug. I love it.
So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Tommy, just...
It's a me thing, clearly.
Yeah, I was going to say, just for the record, you've been on both shows, so I'm just
I
throwing
know.
that out
That's
there.
that's the thing.
The
I didn't
common
want to bring that up
denominator
and add
is
to.
you. So.
Stop bragging.
Probably your fault.
You can follow Jeremy at Dynasty Madman on Twitter, and you can find them at DynastyTradesHQ as well. Shane has
sir.
plugged it multiple times at this point because,
I'll plug it all night.
yeah, love it. Absolutely love
Hey,
it.
those bills don't pay themselves.
No, they do not. You
Who
can
am I
find
kidding? I'm
Tommy.
42. I'm not plugging anything all night.
Get it? Because
That's why I was laughing earlier.
single dad
Get it
jokes.
once, do it once, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta go to bed and take a nap.
I am now tired, yes.
Needs ibuprofen because his back hurts.
Him and Frank Gore.
Yep.
Oh, he's going to be sitting there on his chair after this podcast is over just with a single cigarette. Oh,
This
that
was
was
the
good for
single
me.
greatest
How about
episode
you
in my
guys?
life.
Standing on his Juliet balcony, contemplating
Oh.
life. How did I get here? You can find Tommy Garrett at Tommy Garrett PFN and other places. You can find Josh at
Well,
the
thanks for
One-Eyed
doing your
Sony.
research there, buddy.
Yeah, I do what I can. You've been on a show so many times. I still have an absurd amount of terrible jokes left in my head that I don't want to say. Because my
You're not
brain,
making about my Scott Fishbowl team, apparently?
I mean, Tommy, if you want me to
Hey,
rehash
he
the
actually
injuries
almost
here.
made the playoffs. Give him a little bit of credit.
Josh, the Patriots were almost going to make the playoffs. It doesn't mean Cam Newton's a good quarterback. Like that, that's not the threshold.
I did
It's
such
not
a
the
great
threshold.
job raising Joe. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, my friend.
Jesus.
My son, sorry.
Best
It's like
decision I ever made was
should've left
walking
that
away
to
from the
stop.
family.
It's like the Jaguars made the AFC Championship, but it doesn't make Blake Bortles a good quarterback. Like
There you go.
There's, oh God, I don't even want to plug Josh anymore. I'm not even gonna plug him. Don't follow Club Fantasy at Club Fantasy FFL. You can follow me at Joe_Zolo, but no, you can follow all these wonderful guys, obviously, where you're looking at them right now, because this isn't going to be a podcast. This is just live stream. We appreciate everyone that has stuck through the R-rated portion of the podcast, which was one of my personal favorites. I might just have Shane on more for the sole reason of everything he's, saying, I'm like somewhat thinking.
Every Friday.
Every Friday.
Shane's on.
Every Friday, the Club Dynasty at Club Dynasty podcast. We just, we all have to fly to Atlanta every Friday night.
Yeah, that's fine with
Yeah.
me. Works
With
out
your
still.
co-host,
Flyer
stripper
miles.
Shane Manilla.
Yeah. Here go. Shane's got a corded mic on the pole, and he's upside down doing a fireman's pose.
Yeah.
While hosting and talking fantasy football.
Honestly,
I think
that's kind of impressive.
great
I could
content.
pull that off,
Honestly,
definitely.
great content. And a cheetah print thong. I think that would really gain viewers.
I'm probably going bottomless, but yeah.
Okay, bottomless is the way to go. I didn't know if we wanted to be a little decent, but I guess
Just sitting there doing the helicopter while talking about Noah Fant and Chris Herndon.
Yeah. How Noah Fant's going to be a breakout tight end.
Yes, and yes, I do extra for tips. I mean, whatever you want, literally.
We have a
I
show
didn't think you were just
tomorrow.
a tip person, to be honest.
You do have a show tomorrow. You have your start, sit, stream.
Start, sit, different day. We probably won't talk about strippers and penises, but we'll see where the day takes us. That's
If you
tomorrow.
do it early, the day can only get better from there.
That's true. Throw it out there early, and then you got nowhere to go but up.
It only goes
it's a
up.
good feeling.
Fantastic. You can follow all these guys once more. Tommy Garrett, PFN, Dynasty Madman. Shane is the worst. Don't forget the exclamation point. And you can follow both of those guys' work, Shane and Jeremy, over at DynastyTradesHQ. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. Shane is the worst. I'm going to add that into the tagline now. Always remember, defense wins championship. Offense wins fantasy. Shane is the worst.
Shane is the worst.
Yeah, Shane is the worst. And we will see you tomorrow morning for your Start Sit Different Day, asking any questions you guys might have. And then we will see you also on Wednesday, for no pun intended. We have Casey Kasem joining the show, so very excited to have her ready with the fantasy footballers.